Welcome to the DTC Insider podcast, where online business owners come to find actionable tips and tactics to grow their businesses. Now, here's your host, Brian Roisenthal.
Hey guys, real quick, we'll be back to the show in a moment. But before doing that, let me ask you a question. Do you want more? Are your influencer campaigns? Are you running low on good content? Minisocial is a user-generated content platform that partners your brand with high-quality micro-influencer creators to produce fully licensed content and share it with their followers. The best two-in-one solution out there, actually, guys. Soon you will have high-quality, full license content at your fingertips. Try the UGC platform used by brands like Native, Hydrant, and Imperfect Foods and get 15% off just by mentioning the DTC Insider to redeem your discount. Hey, welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider podcast. I'm Brian Roisenthal, your host, and today I'm going to interview Kelley Thornton. He's one of the founders of Tiege Hanley, a brand with a mission of helping men look and feel amazing. That's awesome. Good for me, I guess. Hey, Kelley, thanks for being on the show.
All right, Brian, I can't wait to talk to you today. Very excited about this.
Me too. So I've been reading a lot about you and the brand, and I think this will be very interesting and relevant for everyone listening. So why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit more about you and your background?
Yeah, well, I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my third company, and in between company one and two, I worked 18 years in the corporate world. My second company was a global design agency. I had the opportunity to travel around the world and with clients, and also have offices in London, in the US, and in Southeast Asia and Taiwan. So I've had great and very fortunate experience. I come from both, a background in marketing and brand, but I also am very experienced with manufacturing and distribution. So I have a very diverse background. And I'm an entrepreneur that really values passion and honesty and discipline and hard work. And so I'm in the fight every day, just like you are, trying to make a difference in people's lives and trying to do a good job here at Tiege Hanley.
Okay, so I know you are a seasoned entrepreneur. As you said, you built many companies,
Yes.
3 in your case. So I would love your thoughts on this. What do you think DTC brands need to succeed nowadays? I know it's a tough question, but I just
Yeah, I
wanted to give
mean,
it a shot.
look, there's no way of answering that in generalities. I mean, to be successful in any business, I mean, it's certainly, we're talking DTC, and that makes perfect sense. That's what our company is. But to be successful, you have to be kind of good at everything. And I'm not saying like you, Brian, me, Kelley, but as an organization, you have to perform pretty well across the board. So as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you have to be very comfortable with a P&L, financial statements, cash balance reports. You need to be very good at the financial compliance, taxation, paying taxes, duties, shipping. You need to understand physical product. In our case, we make a physical product and sell a physical product. You need to have an understanding of physical products and the marketplace, your competitors for those products, price points, formulation, how long it takes to get products to market, testing, physical testing and compliance. You need to understand operations. We actually fulfill and ship our own products. So you have to have an understanding for that and the complexities of warehouse management systems, inventory management, systems such as NetSuite, which we use to power our financial and our inventory. And then, of course, comes the fun stuff. You need to have a sense of marketing, how to build a brand, how to have a voice in the marketplace, how to be efficient with your capital, and how to create a voice in the marketplace. That's obviously the most important thing of all. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business, and anything else that I just mentioned to you is really irrelevant. So I think like, how do you have a successful business? I mean, first and foremost, you have to have customers, but you have to be pretty good at all of it.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been building this brand for the last 6 years, right? More or less, or 7 years?
We're a little, we're a little further along. We're probably like, we'll be at 8 this summer, plus another, year and a half prior to that. So I mean, all year at 8 years since we launched. So, it's coming up on like a 9-year commitment, and it's been a grind, but it's been fun.
Yeah. And do you think that the priorities of some of the activities that you mentioned that are required for building a successful company changed over time? Some that probably companies DTC in the DTC space mainly didn't pay attention to so much that now probably they are saying, hey, we should probably
Yeah.
look at
Yeah,
this
that's
more.
interesting. One thing I admitted in my last answer is, HR is on the human side of being good at being good on the human side of talent, talent acquisition and talent development. I would say, that is probably your second most important thing to making sure you have a voice in customer. Have things changed? Well, of course, channel marketing and the ways that channels work, they've changed a lot. Like, and by the way, they all ebb and flow, right? They're not always on. Sometimes and as a matter of fact, I would even say, within a quarterly perspective, a monthly perspective, and obviously we go to weekly and daily perspective, channels perform differently over time. So, I like, we're having a bit of a challenge right now, like in the last 30 days with some of our paid social and some of our performance programmatic. But other channels are working really well for us today. Influencer channels working very, very well. Affiliate channels working very, very well for us. Organic channels working very, very well. Outbounds working well. So really, it's hard to say. I mean, over an 8-year period of time, I can't say, what was working then and is not working now, or vice versa. It is really channel specific, and it's almost like, and I guess the moral of the story, Brian, I'm a little long-winded here, but the moral of the story is, at any given day, certain channels are going to do well for you for any period of time, and you need to constantly be reinventing yourself on those channels to be relevant.
Yeah. So to expand a little bit more on that, what we've been discussing with some other guests, for example, is that many brands haven't invested a lot of time and resources on the retention side up until a few years ago or a year ago or two,
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
because they say, hey, probably we should be, paying attention to increasing the LTV and trying to develop that customer loyalty everyone talks about, as well as the profitability on the first order when possible. Because as we discussed with some founders and BPs, that's not viable for many DTC brands. What's your take on that?
Yeah. I mean, I say with humility, that Tiege Hanley were excellent on customer success side. It's one of absolutely our core competencies, something we're very, very good at. We run a subscription business, so if we're not good at it, whole economics are based on understanding the value of our customers, and understanding not only the value, but on a deep cohort analysis of different segment of customers that are acquired from a multitude of different personas, different channels, different stimulus, different offers, different creative, understanding the value of those customers. And we actually look at a future value, not a past value. So we use past data to understand important metrics like lifetime value, all different types of metrics, but CAC and MER and lifetime value and AOV. but we actually use a future predictive model to determine what we think the value of Brian is going to be to our organization, or Kelley is going to be to our organization, and how much we're willing to pay for that customer at any given time on any given channel. And then we are constantly checking our hypothesis to see if we're right or wrong. So within 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 1 month out, 2 months out, 3 months out, we're understanding whether or not our hypothesis of the value of Brian, the value of Kelley, whether or not we were right or wrong. And then we're constantly adjusting our models. We use that data to figure out how much we want to spend, and then how much we think we're going to predict to return on that. And what do we need to do to make it, to make it more, to increase our return on the investment of the individual. So that's, very, very core to our business, and we're pretty good at it.
Interesting. So when you mentioned the customer success part, could you please mention a few or some of the actions that you do to create that success, like that experience for customers, to inspire the audience, those in need for the same things?
Yeah. Well, I would suggest that everybody should start with like understanding behaviors of their customers, right? You need to start there. You need to, and if you don't know, you need to, start hypothesizing about the behaviors of your customers. And then you need to start testing your hypothesis about those behaviors to see if you're able to change those behaviors, will it impact positively or negatively the consumer over, a period of time. So for instance, we look at every single interface that the client has after purchase. What emails they respond to, what actions do they take? Do they make changes to their orders? Do they change their address? Do they change the frequency of the orders? Do they postpone their second order? All of these different metrics. We look at all of these metrics, and we also look at, obviously we're measuring renewal rates between boxes. Okay. And we're making some hypothesis about some of those behaviors. And then we're saying, if we did this or did that, then is it likely to increase or decrease the next box or the next purchase timing, or increase the value of the next purchase? And then we're testing those hypotheses, and through typically outbound messaging and SMS messaging, and obviously we're paying attention to open rates and click-through rates on some of our content, and we're seeing what is important to our guys. And to the extent that we can personalize it and say, well, Brian didn't do this, and let's not assume that means automatically he's going to react a certain way. Maybe he actually looks more like Kelley, so let's treat him this way and see if that works. And so we constantly are testing these hypotheses on cohorts, and and we're having very, very, very positive outcomes.
That's great. I mean, I have found that myself too, like working with experiments, let's say hypotheses, and then validating those is a great way to move forward, like in a faster way, let's say. And I know you recently talked about that, like the needs for speed in business, and I totally agree. I remember here at the agency, we were working with a client who hired an external consultant for providing them with some financial information in the company, and the consultant said, hey, I'm going to put together a report for you guys so you can better understand what comes from where and some other things. So to provide some other outcomes, I don't remember by now. But the point is that the guy who said, hey, this is going to take only 3 months. And my partner and I looked at each other and said, hey, probably that's a long time. And by the time he's done,
I'm going to be dead by 3 months.
Exactly. Things are going to change so much. And I think it was Q4. So even more during that time. So what do you think of those, of that particularly? How do you work internally?
Well, look, You know, so in all the areas of your business, how are you differentiated, right? So we think about how we're differentiated. Certainly we differentiate in product, right? We want to have a superior product. We want to be looked at as innovators, things of this nature. These are competitive advantages, right? You know, we don't want to do things where we don't have some level of some level of advantage in the marketplace, or some problem that we're solving. And, you know, the competitors for us is not the other men's skincare brands that are popping up left and right. Yeah, I mean, I pay attention to them, but that's not really who our competitors are. Our competitors are Unilever, P&G, you know, these companies that are all around the globe, that men are buying, you know, their skincare from, their deodorant, their body wash from. They're $150 billion company. I want their customer. So we want to be disruptive to those guys, right? I don't want to try to just go after, you know, Brian's skincare company. Like, what's that going to do for me, right? I want to go after Unilever. So those guys take a ferocious amount of time to do something. You know, the fact that DTC, one of the key elements of a DTC company is that we are nimble. We can do things quickly, and hopefully we fail. And I know that sounds crazy, but yes, hopefully we fail and we learn quickly, we iterate on it, and we get better. And we can do things so fast. We could be on 10 different iterations of something before one big Unilever can do it one time. And so speed is critical to our business. You know, we don't have the encumbrances of a big company. And it doesn't even have to be a Unilever. I mean, it could be, you know, $100 million company or 200 million. We don't have the encumbrances of those guys. So we don't have the handcuffs. So we really should be using speed as a competitive advantage. And we should be going quickly and accepting the fact that we're going to make mistakes. A wheel is going to fly off the bus. Accept it. It's going to happen. Take responsibility for it. Learn from it. Get better. Kick ass.
I know that I share your point of view, but sometimes in practice, bosses, not only CEOs, but team leaders, like penalize failure. They don't
Yeah.
want to, but they do. So how to avoid falling into that trap? Because it's easier said than done, right? So how do you avoid that?
Huge. We have like super honest communication, and we just clamor for people to take accountability, and we accept it. First, it starts with me. Like, I make a ton of mistakes. You know, it just happens. You know, I make mistakes, and I admit to it right away. I fucked that up. I'm sorry, guys. But what I learned from that is this, and you know, you guys were right. You guys were right, and this is what we're going to do differently next time. And we have a culture here at my company where people are fine with telling everybody else they made a mistake. But something has to happen before that, and this is what happens before it. We have one of our 8 core values. One of is have a backbone and commit. So what it means is this: you and I are going to discuss a hypothesis about success program. And I'm going to say, well, our second box rates are at 53%. We want to be at 51%. And I want to, and I suggest that we have an insert in the second box that's going to talk about something in the third box and blah, blah, blah. And you completely disagree with me, Brian. You say, you know what? I don't think that's a good idea. And let me tell you why. You know, it's not the third box rates that are issue. It's the second box rates that are issue. We need to increase our second box rates, you know, up to 56% if we ever expect to get to our, you know, our third box rate, you know, at XYZ. And we're going to go back and forth on this topic. And you're going to give me your best opinion. I'm going to give you my best opinion. And there's going to be multiple people that are going to opine on this issue. But once we agree, okay, you know what, Brian? I think you're right. I think I could be right, but I think you're right. Then we all go for it. We all go for it. We pour our heart and soul into the solution that we agreed to. Have a backbone and commit, but agree. So have a backbone and commit. So what happens in that situation is we all had an opportunity to discuss it. We all agreed that Brian's idea was better than Kelley's, and that's the one we're going to back. And we're going to go in 100%. And if if it didn't turn out right, I'm not going to say, oh, I told you so. I'm going to say, hey, we gave it our best shot. We all agreed that was probably the best solution. We're going to give it our best shot. It didn't work. And we're all going to look at each other and say, that didn't work. We fucked that one up. Let's try something else. And so, getting consensus early on and then making sure that everybody's willing to commit. And then the accountability stuff just falls right into place.
Interesting. I mean, I love the idea because you're not like leaving anyone alone with the idea and say, hey, give it a shot and then tell me what happened. You're committing as a team and as a
Correct.
whole, and that makes you stronger as a team. So that's awesome. Do you have real quick, do you have a real life example of one of those? If it comes to mind, otherwise it's okay.
Yeah, well, I'm on one right now. So, we take a couple we take a couple shots every year. It's something pretty sizable. And so for us, that's probably 100,000 USD commitment on one specific thing. And it could be more. And I don't know how familiar you are with this, but a very popular sporting event in the US is it's called March Madness. It's basketball, college basketball, and it's very, 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 very popular for a lot of reasons. One is it's the 64 best university teams, and it's a single elimination. It's almost like World Cup-ish, single elimination. You have all these people all around the country that went to different schools, and these are big schools, 40,000 students and everything else. And so we are making a piece of content, actually Need for Speed, actually what you were speaking about earlier. We're making a piece of content, and it's, very expensive piece of content. We're paying for pro athletes to be in it and college athletes to be in it. The tournament starts next week, but there's some pre-tournaments this weekend. And we made an expensive piece of content, and we're going to spend a lot of money in paid behind the content. Now, a lot of people on my team, especially my head of growth, he's a Canadian, very brilliant guy, did not think this is the right thing to spend money on. And the reason why is he really doesn't get the culture around this basketball tournament. And if you're not, if you didn't go to a school that has a big basketball program, it's not quite as relevant. But still, most people go out to the bars and watch these games, especially our demographic, which is under 30. And so he really did not want to spend the money on this. He felt that it wouldn't play nationally in the US. It would only play specifically to the Northeast. And if we're going to spend a lot of money, over 6 figures, we want to have we want to be able to have a piece of content that really resonates nationally. And it's really based on one team. So if this team were to be eliminated early on or not even make the tournament, because only the top 64 can make it, then we'll immediately be wasting money. If the content isn't good, then right away we're out $35,000, $40,000 instantly. If we put money behind it and it flops, we're done. So he was not in favor, and as a result, a lot of the team was not in favor. They were not in favor of this program. And I was strongly in favor of the program. And the reason why I was strongly in favor of it is because we were able to get specific athletes. We had access to these athletes. We had access to the athletes that most everybody else would not have access to. And the way we had access to them is myself and my business partner went to this university, University of Connecticut in New England. And we had a direct connection to the athletes through the athletic department and the entrepreneurial program at the school. And we were able to sign up quickly these athletes. They were already familiar with our brand. And we were able to sign up some pro athletes that are in the NBA that also went to University of Connecticut. We were able to quickly get involved in them. And then these athletes are also, these college athletes are going to be going to go for the NBA draft. So they're going to be drafted. And we saw a great opportunity. And this team is very, very, very good. And we think they could go very far. So we're willing to take a chance on this. So even though the marketing team wasn't, I convinced them all to get on board for some of the reasons why I just described. And now we're like going bananas here. We're going to be spending so much money on this thing. The content we literally finished filming yesterday. We were up in Connecticut with the athletes on Sunday and here with the professionals in Chicago on Monday. And we're in production, post-production right now. I hope to see a piece today or tomorrow, and then we'll get it live nationally on Thursday. And, they were very against it, but now the team is so excited.
Love the story. Thanks for sharing it. Quick question about that. How do you
Yeah.
measure success of such a marketing action? Like, do you expect, or probably, yeah, how do you measure success and what your expectations are? Do you expect to see results or a positive ROI right away? What does ROI mean for you? Or do you expect to see
Yeah.
that in the long run?
Phenomenal question. So, expectations on, content that we make is we have different classifications of content and what we're trying to accomplish with growth. Most of the time it's optimized, our performance metrics are optimized for acquisition. So most of the time our goals are strictly to acquire customers within a CPA guardrail, within an overall MER on a monthly basis. CPA guardrails, monthly MER, and that's our goal. We optimize everything to that. We eat what we kill. This one is slightly different because we also have a bucket for pure branding, top of the funnel awareness campaigns. So this one is, we're doing everything we can to encourage acquisition, but really we want to get as many people into our funnel as possible on this play. And it's going to be somewhat difficult, especially because we're probably going to be on linear TV and a few other methods. It's going to be difficult to really understand the value and our ability to bring people in. We will watch and measure, site traffic very, very closely, over the next 30 days and correlate, our ad spend to site visits, organic search, things of that nature to see how we did.
Please let me know if this is an accurate comparison or not. I've recently read something about something that Taylor Swift does, that it's some of the non-scalable actions that end up being scalable, even for someone like her. She goes to birthday parties. I don't know if you heard about this one, of course, but she goes to birthday parties and things that probably don't give her money, as we all know, right? But she does that because, of course, people get her on camera and the video goes like all over the place, and it creates a huge buzz, and it creates an image that she wants to, everyone to see. So I think it's not the immediate action that will produce the results or the outcomes, but also the collateral effects. I don't know if you can use the whatever videos or content you produce with these athletes, but if you can, it's social proof right there in all your communication, even after the event, right? They are linked to your brand. They are using your
Correct.
products, and you can start a long-term relationship with them. And if they go to the MBA, it's a long-term play that will pay off
Correct.
eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is the goal, right? And, it's marketing and brand building is brick by brick, basically what you're describing from the example of Taylor. It's not, while we hope that this piece of content is going to be loved and shared, um, you know, just getting in front of a few million guys is, and getting them into our marketing funnel. We feel pretty good about our ability to convert people down funnel. So, and we feel really good about keeping them here. So, this particular program is about just raising awareness of our brand and having the ambassadors of these athletes, association with our brand be present.
It's awesome. And I know that besides this particular March marketing action that you're
Yeah.
going for, you're also expanding into global marketplaces like Amazon UK, UE, and Australia
Yeah.
as well. So could you please discuss or talk about the challenges and opportunities associated with this global expansion strategy?
Yeah. Well, we've always shipped globally, and we've always had a very strong global business. So there's a nuance here to be clear about. We want to improve our experience for our customers where they live. So we want them to have a domestic experience with our brand, even though they live in fill in the blanks in the UK. And we want them to have a really good experience because, again, we measure the experience, and retention rates by boxes and by cohorts. We measure this on every single level, and we know our international guys are just as likely to convert first box from us as our domestic guys, but they're not as sticky as our domestic guys. And we know a lot of that is because after speaking to them and understanding and studying why, the ability, the friction that's created, we all know this if we're good marketers, any friction that you create in any aspects of your funnel really decrease your ability to convert or keep somebody. But the friction associated with cross-border makes it a little bit difficult, right? You've got VAT taxes, and you've got delay in deliveries, and in some cases you've got customs, and you need to go down to the post office and sign for the package and things like this. So what we actually are trying to do right now, I was just in London last week, is we're trying to work on a solution that allows our customers, our already existing customers, and of course all the new customers that we'd like to have, it makes their experience more similar to a US domestic experience. And we do that by having our product physically in market and having our product physically delivered quickly and reducing the barriers around taxation and import duties and things of this nature, so that the customer really feels like they are buying a product from the US, but they're having a domestic experience.
Okay, that's awesome. So this was a really interesting conversation, at least for me. You covered a lot of key topics for brand founders and CMOs nowadays. So I wanted to thank you for being here on the show. But before you go, I wanted to ask you one more question. As the audience know by now,
Yes.
love asking for books. This is a selfish question, actually, because I love reading, and I'm always looking for the next thing to read. So that's how these questions started out, and then we put together a list in 2022 and in 2023 of the books mentioned here in the show. So the question for you is, do you have any book that you love that you would like to recommend to the audience?
Yeah. The last few that I've read, Atomic Habits, which is pretty well known, I think is an excellent book. Think Like a Rocket Scientist, I've really enjoyed. I'm reading The Force Multiplier right now, which is to do with my relationship with my EA and helping us become more synergistic partners in business. Personally, I just finished a couple weeks ago, The Rise and the Fall of the Third Reich. You got to be kind of crazy if you tackle this book, because I actually listened to this book, and on 1.5 speed, it's about 60 hours of listening. It's the whole history of the rise of the German Empire through from World War I through World War II. And, there's some unbelievable lessons there in geopolitics and leadership, and actions that took place, quite frankly, that led to World War II. That's not really a business book, but some very, very, very interesting lessons. You being, in Argentina, having, a new and very popular president that probably resembles a little bit, some of the politics and candidates that we have here in the U.S. Really interesting read. So if you're interested in history, that's a good one too. The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, and it's from the German perspective, not from. It's an insider view into Hitler's rise and fall, and it's fascinating, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I watched many movies on that topic, by the way, but never read a book on that. So it's
Yes, crazy.
You said how many hours? 60 hours?
60 hours on 1.5 speed. I mean, or 1.25 speed. It's an insanely detailed book. I mean, there's probably like 10 hours or more. I mean, as soon as you hit 1939, when the war really started breaking out, there's probably 10 chapters on 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, like almost 10 chapters per year. I mean, it goes painstakingly day by day. It's just, I think everybody should read it, because you need to be reminded of how egos and megalomaniacs can put the whole world at risk and kill millions and millions and millions of people. We need to learn from some of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So again, this was really interesting. I really appreciate your time here and the value you brought to the audience. So for those who want to learn more about you and keep watching the videos and posts that you do on LinkedIn and any other social channel, where can they go to learn more about you and the
I
company?
just, come to LinkedIn, and I'm easy to find. Kelley, Kelley, Thornton, Thornton at LinkedIn. I'm making content there, Brian, because I'm just actually trying to give back. Like, that's all. I don't really care, about like the number of followers or anything. I'm not doing it for like views. I'm making content that I think is valuable. And if people like it, they like it. And if they don't like it, I don't care. Like, I don't need to build my brand where I'm at in my career. I am who I am. I've made my mark on a lot of things in business. I've accomplished a lot of things that I want to do. And so making content that I like, and it's relevant to me, and the whole purpose is to try to help other people and having learned from the things that I've experienced. So follow me on LinkedIn, and let me know what you think about the content.
Yeah, after all, that's the right thing to do, right? I mean, posting content to help others and not to get followers. In the end, that's what everyone should be doing. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's like, I'm not going to get more hair. My hair is never going to look as nice as yours or anything like that. So at this point, I don't care about followers. I just care about content can help other people.
That's great. For everyone listening to this, for watching this, please head on over to the DTCinsider.com, find the episode if you are not already there, and you will see the show notes, everything that he mentioned, from the books to the LinkedIn handle. So again, Kelley, it was a pleasure to have you here on the podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good day.
This episode was brought to you by BSR Digital. We help DTC brands grow through paid ads and email marketing campaigns. If you'd like us to help your business grow, head on over to bsrdigital.com and schedule a call with us.